Does your cat follow you everywhere? Into the kitchen, into the bathroom, even just to the mailbox and back? Most owners laugh it off as clinginess, or assume their cat just doesn't want to miss out on anything. But that constant shadowing isn't random, and it isn't about boredom. It's one of the clearest, most consistent signals a cat can send. And if you've never really sat down and thought about why they do it, you're missing something most owners never notice, hiding in plain sight, every single day. These 7 reasons explain exactly what's happening every time your cat trails behind you from room to room. But the 7th one is the one that changes how you'll see it forever, because it explains why this behavior tends to get stronger, not weaker, the longer you've had your cat. Let's start with the most basic reason first. 1. You are the most predictable thing in their entire world. Cats build their sense of safety around predictability. A fixed food source, a familiar smell, a consistent routine. These are the coordinates that tell a cat's nervous system, this environment makes sense. I don't need to be on guard right now. And out of everything in your home, nothing is more predictable, more consistent, or more central to that sense of safety than you. When you move from room to room, you're not just walking somewhere. From your cat's perspective, you're the single most reliable point of reference in their entire territory, relocating. Rather than stay behind in a room that suddenly feels less anchored, many cats choose to simply stay close to the one constant that makes the whole space feel safe, wherever it happens to be standing. This is part of why cats often seem more relaxed following you around than they do sitting alone in a room you've just left. It's not that the room became dangerous, it's that their sense of safe territory is built substantially around your location, not just the 4 walls around them. Wherever you go, in a very real sense, the safest part of the house goes with you, and your cat knows it. 2. They're keeping tabs on what you're doing, because it usually leads somewhere good. Cats are sharp observers of pattern and cause and effect, and over time, they learn something simple but powerful about their owners. Your movements usually predict something. You walk toward the kitchen, food might happen. You walk toward the door, maybe you're leaving, maybe you're bringing something back. You sit down somewhere new, that might become a lap to climb into. Following you isn't just about affection in this context, it's information gathering. Your cat has learned that staying close to you means staying close to the source of nearly everything interesting or beneficial that happens in their day. This is why you'll often notice your cat isn't just following you passively. They're watching what your hands are doing, what direction you're facing, whether you've stopped or you're about to move again. Over months and years, this turns into a kind of quiet, constant monitoring. Not anxious, not needy, just efficient. Your cat has figured out that you are, functionally, the single best predictor of what's about to happen next in their world, and staying within range of you means never missing whatever that turns out to be. 3. It's a leftover instinct from kittenhood that never fully switches off. Watch a litter of kittens with their mother, and you'll notice something immediately. They don't wander off independently very often. They stay close, they follow her from spot to spot, and this isn't just about needing to nurse. It's a core survival behavior. A kitten separated from its mother in the wild is a kitten in serious danger, so sticking close to the one adult who represents safety and resources is instinctive from the very beginning of life. Domestic cats, even fully grown, well-fed, secure adult cats, still carry pieces of that early wiring with them. For a lot of cats, their owner occupies something close to the same functional role their mother once did. The anchor point, the source of safety, the figure worth staying near rather than risking distance from. This doesn't mean your adult cat sees you as literally maternal in some confused way. It means the underlying neural pathway that once said stay close to the safe adult never fully deactivated, and it's still quietly running in the background of your relationship. This is part of why kittens who are separated from their mother very early sometimes show even more intense following behavior as adults. That early attachment system got redirected toward the first reliable, safe figure who showed up afterward, and for a lot of cats, that figure is you. 4. Following you is a low-effort way to stay socially connected without demanding attention. Here's something that surprises a lot of owners. Following isn't the same as demanding interaction. A cat trailing behind you into the kitchen isn't necessarily asking to be picked up, played with, or even acknowledged. Often, they're doing something much simpler, choosing proximity over isolation, without requiring anything from you in return. Cats are frequently described as independent, and in many ways they are, but independence isn't the same as indifference to social contact. Many cats want to be near their person far more often than they want to be actively engaged by their person. Following you room to room lets a cat satisfy that need for closeness passively. They get to exist in the same space as you, absorb your presence, occasionally observe what you're doing, all without initiating a formal interaction or asking for anything at all. This is why you'll often see a cat follow you into a room, settle down a few feet away, and seemingly ignore you entirely once they've arrived. That's not a contradiction. That's the entire point. Proximity itself is the reward. The following behavior isn't a prelude to a demand. In a lot of cases, it is the interaction, complete on its own. If any of this is explaining behavior you've genuinely never understood in your own cat before, tap that like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps us reach more cat owners who want to understand what's actually happening in these small, constant, easy-to-overlook moments. 5. Bathroom following specifically has its own explanation. This one deserves its own moment, because it's one of the most universally reported cat behaviors, and also one of the most misunderstood. Why does your cat specifically seem to make a point of following you into the bathroom, of all rooms? Part of it is simple. The bathroom door closing is one of the few consistent moments in a day where a cat gets physically shut out from their person. For a cat whose sense of security is partly built around proximity to you, an abruptly closed door can register as a small, sudden loss of access to their safest reference point, even for just a few minutes. Slipping in before the door closes solves that problem entirely. There's also a curiosity element specific to running water. Cats are drawn to the sound and movement of flowing water, an old instinct connected to water freshness in the wild. Moving water was historically safer to drink than still water. A sink or a shower running is, from a cat's perspective, an interesting novel sensory event happening in a small, enclosed space they already associate with you. Combine the desire to stay close with genuine sensory curiosity, and the bathroom becomes one of the most reliably cat-attracting rooms in the entire house, not because anything strange is going on, but because it checks several boxes for your cat all at once. 6. The pattern intensifies when something in their environment has changed. If you've noticed your cat's following behavior get noticeably more intense recently, more insistent, more constant, less willing to let you out of sight, that's usually not random either. Cats often increase proximity-seeking behavior, specifically during periods of change or mild uncertainty in their environment. A new pet, a move, furniture rearranged, a change in your schedule, even something as subtle as a shift in your own stress levels can all register with your cat as a small destabilization of their normal sense of predictability. And when the environment feels slightly less certain, the most reliable, most predictable element in that environment, you, becomes even more valuable to stay close to. This is your cat's version of doubling down on the one thing they know for sure hasn't changed. This is worth paying attention to, because a sudden spike in following behavior can be a useful, early signal that something in your cat's world feels less settled than usual, even before any other sign shows up. It's rarely something to worry about on its own, but it's a small, quiet piece of communication worth noticing rather than dismissing as your cat simply being extra clingy that week. 7. The longer you've had them, the more this behavior tends to grow, not fade. Remember at the start when I said the last reason changes how you'll see this behavior forever? Here it is. With most learned behaviors, familiarity tends to reduce intensity over time. A new environment feels novel and gets explored intensely at first. Then that intensity naturally fades as it becomes familiar. Following behavior in cats often works in the exact opposite direction. The longer a cat has lived with you, the more deeply your presence becomes woven into their entire sense of what safe and normal even mean. Rather than your novelty wearing off, your role as their central anchor point tends to deepen and solidify. This is why many owners report that an older cat who's lived with them for years follows them around far more consistently than they did as a young kitten first arriving in the home, not because something went wrong, but because trust and attachment, in cats, tend to compound rather than fade. Every single time your cat chooses to get up from a comfortable spot and follow you into another room for what looks like no reason at all, they're acting on years of accumulated evidence that you are worth staying close to. It's not clinginess. It's not a lack of independence. It's one of the clearest, most consistent forms of trust a cat is capable of expressing, repeated quietly, dozens of times a day for as long as you've had them, and it only gets stronger the longer that history builds. So the next time you catch your cat trotting behind you into a room they have absolutely no reason to be in, don't brush past it. That's not your cat being underfoot. That's years of trust, expressed the only way your cat knows how, one followed footstep at a time.